Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Lizzie Enders. They want your bestie, Clarence Thomas, to have more tributes in the African American History Museum. So is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
It's shenanigans. It's shenanigans. And let me just give a little background history for our audience here. So this week, led by Representative Byron Donalds, a black Republican from Florida, he made the claim that several other Republican lawmakers are arguing that the National Museum of African American History, aka the Blacksonian, needs to
Is that
update
what they call it?
who they have. And oh yeah, that's what people inside of DC call it, the Blacksonian.
The
um,
black.
but they are
New to me.
calling for a revision of Justice Clarence Thomas's appearance in the museum, because they're saying that it does not do him justice, if you will, no pun intended. It does not honor him, and that the current exhibit falls short of representing him and all that he has done over the course of his career. So, my question to the panel before I start on my rant, my question to our listeners, our viewers, what do you think? Now, please note that he is already in the museum. He is mentioned in the museum. There is a profile of him in the museum. It's a part of Thurgood Marshall's profile and the Supreme Court profile on those two men. But what they're saying is that he needs to be honored. So my question to the panel and to all of the listeners and viewers out there, do you think that, he needs more celebratory speech, more of a celebratory emphasis put on him inside of the museum? And if so, why?
I don't mind starting out on this one. I mean, I really don't know what he's done. What did he accomplish? It's not like it wasn't like he was the first black justice on the Supreme Court. Thurgood Marshall has that distinction. I mean, he's done nothing, and on top of that, he hasn't done anything to promote black history. He hasn't done anything to improve African American history. It's all been actually anti African American history, if anything. That's where his history lies. So, I mean, the fact that he is a Supreme Court justice, fine. That's a reasonable, he's done something as someone of color in America, which is not, historically has been difficult. But other than that, I don't see where he needs any other tributes to his legacy. How about let's go with Robbie Rock. Oh, Robbie Rock.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I'm like Neo. Like, what exactly did he do? The Canadian in me, it's the Canadian perspective. Clarence Thomas, well, we think of the Coke can and Anita Hill. I mean, and we're going to go back 30 years every time
Cocaine and
because
Neely Hill.
that, that's what he's done. That was noteworthy. But as I was looking through his track record, like no great contributions to African American culture. And from what I was reading, yes, he is a longstanding member of the legal community, and he's one of two black men to serve in the Supreme Court or as a Supreme Court justice. My understanding is that he was a replacement so basically we swapped one in, we swapped one out. And other than that, I mean, he's representation, which is absolutely fantastic, and you need representation. But what has he done with that representation? And there's nothing to me that's noteworthy, that's worthy of an honorific, if you will.
Especially
Yeah.
since when you consider, like Robbie alluded to, when you consider how he got the seat, how he was nominated for the seat to begin with, he was sworn in after Thurgood Marshall, after the death of Thurgood Marshall in 1991. So then here comes, Clarence Thomas, and if you look at their resumes, they couldn't be more opposite. Here you have, Thurgood Marshall, who was, even before he became a Supreme Court justice, he was a legendary attorney in this country who presided over or who presented landmark civil rights cases, Brown versus the Board of Education in this country. He's a civil rights icon. Clarence Thomas is so far from that distinction that it's not even funny. So for these, not going to use the word, but for these Republicans, Black Republicans, to start up this conversation and compare the two and say that there should be some distinction or some honor of him in a museum that's talking about Black history. I mean, other than becoming the second Black person, the second Black man to serve on the Supreme Court, what other history has he made? Nothing, except for back in, I think, 2016, when after 10 years of silence, he finally asked a question sitting on the Supreme Court. It took him 10 years to say anything as a justice on the Supreme Court, to the point where he finally said something, people were making fun of him.
Yep.
People
I
were
was one
making
of
fun
them.
of him. So
I was one of them.
I don't
Yeah.
they what they want him to be honored for. They never really made that clarification. So 10 years of silence from him on the bench, he got an asterisk from a certain publication. In 2013, he cracked a joke, words, which was interpreted as a self-deprecating jab at his alma mater, Yale. So in 10 years, those were the only things he said while he was serving on the bench. He cracked a joke. That's it. No questions, no dissents, nothing. He just sat there, probably dreaming of that Coke can.
Gianni Storm.
Yeah, I feel like my opinion on this is not gonna be much, only because I personally I've never heard of him. I've heard of Thurgood Marshall, and I'm not even into politics or government like that recently I am. But I just feel like growing up, of course I heard of Thurgood, but I haven't heard of Clarence Thomas. I think that given, like Liz said, that he is being honored in some way, to say that he was on the Supreme Court justice, he's honored in that way. So does there have to be more? Maybe the Republicans are putting up a good defense as to why. Like maybe they're saying
They're not.
he helped in this way. Okay, so if that's not the
Because he
case,
hasn't
then
done anything. They're trying to
yeah,
they're trying to make this as a partisan issue, because most of the people who got started or who backed the Blackstonian, if you will, tend to be liberal, tend to be, Democrats or whatever, tend to be on the left. So it's kind of like a jab at them. Oh, because he's a conservative Black man, that's why they're not honoring him in the museum. When you think about museums aren't supposed to be this, okay, we're just going to give you all of these accolades and things like that. A museum is a place where you go to get information. And the proper information about Clarence Thomas is already in the museum. Now, if they want to, make a statue of him somewhere, then so be it. But I don't think he needs anything more in the museum. Hell, he'll be lucky if they don't mention the fact that his wife his wife, who is white, is a Trump supporter, and she was a supporter of the insurrection a month ago. So they need to fall back. They need to fall back.
Wow, that's very interesting.
That's it for your rant then?
I guess.
Is your rant over?
I mean, we can go back to Usher if you want to.
No, we need to talk more about.
He has enough praise. I feel like I agree. I
All
feel
right,
like he has enough.
So going to the comments online. So Vaughn Perry used your word for you. I won't repeat it. I'm not trying to get banned off TikTok.
We all see it.
Vaughn Perry, but it does say he doesn't represent me. I guess Vaughn
He
Perry.
doesn't represent most of the Black community.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that a conservative can't, but a lot of his rhetoric, a lot of his discourse has been anti-progressive for Black people in this country.
Right. And that was my whole point. It's like, if anything, he's been anti, Black and pro-Black, where he hasn't really helped the community. All right, so Randy Carr says, looking good, Robbie Rock.
Thanks, Randy.
Trinette Young says, I don't think he's done much. Laugh aloud. He should be glad to even be honored. Net Brown says maybe there can be an exhibit on people who hurt the rights of African American despite their skin color. Okay.
And he would be one of those people because he's someone who has emphatically spoken out against affirmative action, even though he benefited from affirmative action growing up as he was being educated.
Jacqueline Rob said, exactly, Rob B. Thomas is an insulting replacement for the remarkable Justice Thomas. I don't think anyone else, this is Janet Brown, I don't think anyone else's public hairs, I don't think about anyone else's pubic hairs on sofa.
I think she meant soda.
I'm pretty sure she
So, yeah.
He said soda cans. All right. Latoya Blakely says, hadn't heard about this, but it really reeks of Blandis Owen. Did she have anything to do with this? Vaughn Perry says, we'll honor him when he dies.
No, we won't.
Yeah,
No, we
I'm with her. I'm with you on that.
For what? For what?
I
mean, I would say
he really has not done anything.
Condolences to the family, because it's sad, when people die or what have you. Condolences to the family, but he is not worthy of any honor.
Matt Young says he just sat there and got a paycheck. All right. Good hot topic, Lizzie. Thank you. Gianni Storm, next.